Each and every one of us has a point of view. It defines, to some degree, who we are. It shapes our behavior and causes us to favor certain perspectives, styles, and types. All of these things are difficult to measure, much less manage. So we've built a model to show you based on 4 leadership strategy types. The Strategic Leadership Type Indicator indicates what type of leader you tend to be, what strategies you rely on habitually. Why do we need a leadership strategy? Because we've inherited many of our leadership behaviors from a time when challenges were far, far less, and the rate of change much slower. Those behaviors don't always work today. In our constantly changing workplace, people often feel disoriented and anxious. Their focus shifts from work to coping, and their motivation plummets. Today's leader has to have a strategy if they are to motivate and manage employees in a challenging work environment. Let me show you the dominant strategy type matrix. Here we see our 4 strategies: relate, delegate, coach, and instruct. Enter your strategy type scores from the scoring sheet in the correct box. Circle your highest score. This is your dominant strategy type. It indicates certain unique leadership strengths. Just about everyone favors one leadership type over another. Let's take a look at the 4 strategy types. If your highest score is relate, you're good with employees who need support. If your highest score is delegate, you're good with employees who can take on responsibility. If your highest score is coach, you're good with employees who need supervision and support to improve. If your highest score is instruct, you're good with employees who need information and structure. Now, let's look for your weaknesses to establish a personal leadership development path. Check your least dominant type in these boxes. This is your development path type, the one you should practice if you want to develop the capabilities needed for effective leadership in many contexts. Check your lowest score. What new emphasis does your low score suggest? Considering how complex our working environment is, and the diversity of our workforce, it is easy to see the value of flexibility. So, how flexible is your strategy in various contexts? To find out, subtract your lowest strategy type score from your highest. Circle the range of numbers that your score falls into on this bar. Some people tend to rely on one strategy, perfecting it through frequent use, while others tend to practice varied strategies. A good leader strives to perfect all 4, so they can rely on whichever one is most effective and appropriate in a given context. On your scoring sheet, you will notice that some of the answers are shaded. This indicates what the ideal response would be in each of the cases of the assessment. For instance, in case 1, A4 and A5 are shaded to indicate the ideal responses. If you chose one of these, count that as a match. Count all of your matches, which could be anywhere from 0 to 16. Then circle your total on this bar chart. This indicates how often you gave a top rating to the strategy that was most likely to be effective in a case. Now, instead of asking what you would do based on your strategy type, you're going to ask what the best thing to do is based on the employee's capacity to perform. This will sometimes require a change in your strategy. Capacity here is defined as the combination of the performer's capability and desire to perform. In each of the cases you responded to earlier, you were given information about capacity. For example, in case 3, you learned that a team member quits in the middle of an important project and is replaced by someone who is eager to help out but lacks experience. Before selecting a leadership strategy in this, or any case, it is important to ask, does the employee have the full capability to do the job? Does the employee have a strong desire to do the job? Since the case describes an employee with a good attitude, the leader does not need to work on increasing their desire to perform. They already have the desire. But the leader does need to work on increasing the employee's capabilities, since the case tells us they lack experience. If left to their own devices, they might do things poorly. Option D in case 3 focuses on the need to teach them how to do the job. The best strategy for this case is instruct. There are many ways to implement the instruct leadership strategy. For instance, the leader could pair the new employee with someone with a lot of experience and let her learn from this mentor. It does not matter whether the leader naturally prefers the instruct strategy or not. Instruct is what the context requires in order to get that employee to perform well. But the key point here is this: in one way or another, the leader needs to focus on teaching the employee